like to welcome all of the new counselors. There's a lot of new faces, which is really awesome to see a lot of people getting involved. That being said, I know some of you were at the training, so there might be a little bit of rehashing some of the things that I already said, but I'll try to go as slow as possible and explain what's going on in the meeting, because if you're not familiar with meetings run under Robert's rules, they can be a little bit disorienting. So just to start off, I'll let you know I put a little helpful hint on the board, which unfortunately has a thing over it right now. But basically the way that it works when we're doing motions is somebody's going to say a motion, it's going to require a second, and then I'm going to move back to the mover for the first speaker's rights, and then I'll open debate. So that's like when anyone can raise their hand. Unfortunately, we don't have placards, and I don't know all of your names by heart, so I'm going to try to learn them all in one day. Please be patient with me. And we have our wonderful executive / minute keeper, Marin, as well, who is helping me out today. Thank you so very much. That being said, are there any questions before we start? Yes, Jared.
Something I want to bring up. The 2-minute speaking, is that still effective for this mandate?
Yeah, so there's a couple of motions that were done in terms of council procedure last year. One of them being that people have 2-minute speaker turns. It's pretty rare that you get to 2 minutes when you're talking. It's actually kind of difficult to talk for that long. So I'll point you out though if you're like getting close. I'll just do this and let you know. As well, we'll take a break at 8:30 so that we can eat food, and I have a timer right here as well. That way we'll know when it's 8:30 and I remember. Okay, so if there's nothing further, we can jump right into it.
Oh, just one quick thing,
yes.
Maybe address the people who are here for an
Oh,
interview.
yeah, sorry. So I know there's a couple of people here for interviews as well. We're going to get into them in about 10 minutes, I'd say. There's just a couple of points to get through first. Is everyone okay with that? Yeah. Nobody has to leave really urgently or anything? Perfect. So that being said, just for some context as well, so all councillors have 3 absences before they're deemed resigned from council. So if ever you have to miss a council meeting, just send the chairperson an email. So just say you want to request an excusal. So that means that if you're absent, it doesn't count in your 3. So the first thing that we do usually during the meeting is deal with requests for excusals. So for example, today I have requests for excusal from Selena, Esther, Christiane, Lindsay, and Elizabeth, who could not be here today. Yes, Jared?
I motion to omnibus all of them as excused.
All right, so perfect. Seconded by James. So you see there, Jared made a motion, James seconded it. Is there any opposition to the motion?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Did we call the meeting to order?
Yes, yeah, I did. Oh, sorry.
Can you just say the names again?
Yeah, it was Selena, Esther, Christiane, Lindsay, and Elizabeth. And then Jared made the motion to excuse and James seconded. So if there's no opposition to kind of like a simple procedural motion, usually I'll just ask, is there any opposition? If there's none, then we count the vote as being unanimous. But that's usually just for kind of the simple things that we go through. Yes, James?
Yeah, I would like to motion to for a general amnesty of everybody that missed the training, because it was, you know, just a general amnesty for people that missed the training, for that not to count as their absences.
Right. In the new standing regs, I don't think that training was mandated. Oh, it does. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So in that case, we have a motion to excuse people who missed the training. Do I have a second? Jared, is there any opposition? Okay, perfect. So it won't count in people's absences. Let me just make a note of that. Alrighty. So that being said, we can move on to the point called approval of the agenda. So for the council-elect meeting, the agenda is pretty well set. As well, council doesn't actually have any decision-making power until June 1st. So all the decisions that you do here today have to be ratified at the June meeting. So there's no like big contentious points with motions or anything like that attached, because they're going to get pushed to June. That being said, I just need a motion to approve the agenda if there's nothing that needs to be changed or removed, besides your point called remarks instead of report. All right, so I just need a motion to approve the agenda. Jared?
I motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Elias? Perfect. Is there any opposition to approving the agenda? All right, so that carries. And at this point, we're on general coordinator's remarks. So Chris, you have the floor.
Hi everybody, welcome to the CSU, the Concordia Student Union. I just want to tell you that this executive, we're a very open-minded team. We're filled with many different people with very different backgrounds and very different beliefs and opinions. We won't always agree amongst ourselves, but at the end of the day, we're going to work to make sure that we find some sort of compromise. And we hope council this year could do the same thing. Disagree, but do so in a kind way. And if there's any issues, we want to make sure that we're there for you to help you resolve them if you want to do it with us. You could also go to your chairperson, whether it's Caitlin or someone else, to help resolve issues. And really, like, if you're ever just having any difficulties, we're here for you, and we do care. And with that, let's have a great year of CSU.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Chris? All right then, can move on with that. So we are at setting the time of regular meetings. That would be up to the executive. We have the, yes, Jared?
Just on this, I was suggesting maybe specifically for the majority of the school year, because that's when like most of these meetings are going to be. I'm just going to suggest 11 o'clock because that's when the last shuttle is. So for a lot of people that need shuttles to get somewhere, you know, to save money because of the metro being a bit more, and if you don't have a pass, for people that use the shuttle to like get closer to home, I would just suggest 11 o'clock. That's when the last shuttle leaves, so maybe 5-10 minutes before that, just for people who need it, because once it's gone, it's gone. Enjoy your cab or metro, because that's your only option. So that's just a suggestion.
Thank you. Just so that you folks are aware, the standing regulation, the bylaw regarding this, it says regular meetings of the Council of Representatives shall be held on the second Wednesday of every month, except September, where the meetings will take place on the third Wednesday. There shall be no regular meeting during the month of July and August, and 2 regular meetings during the months of October, November, and January, where the second meeting will be held on the fourth Wednesday of those months. So basically, every second Wednesday of the month, with every second and fourth a couple of times. It's up to council to decide what time the meetings will be at. Last year, council made a motion to have them end at 11:30. Thank you. Yes, James?
Also, I would like to point something out, is that one of the things that happened in the CSU is that during the summer, it's kind of like a giant empty period. So between June 1st and basically September, that's 1 to almost 3 months where nothing's going on, where council can't sit, where, you know, we don't necessarily know what's going on from the executives. We don't really get very many updates, or at least that's what happened last year. We got almost no updates. And by the time September happened, there's already been like stuff planned. The campaigns have been planned and organized and everything, and council didn't know anything. So what I would suggest is maybe, because I know that a lot of people are gone during the summer, so I wouldn't want to put a burden of, you know, a general meeting that counts against your absences. Maybe like doing a motion to just call 2 special meetings, one in July and one in August. Just basically just to kind of information for councillors so that they know what's going on, not necessarily to discuss anything, but just kind of a general update from the executive, maybe to discuss a few events that, you know, if somebody has an idea for an event, they can discuss it there or whatever.
I'm not sure if it's, because we're not on a motion, so
No,
it's not a reply, it's just more so, I'm not sure if we have to do something with that suggestion first.
It was kind of just a suggestion from my understanding. Yeah, it wasn't a motion.
Because I had something else, but like,
Yeah.
do we want to deal with that first?
Talking, I cannot.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, for start time of the meeting, I would propose 8:30 rather than 6:30, because I'm not sure if any of you have classes that go from like 5:45 to 8:15. So typically, and it might help with the room booking so that we can get a better room and more stability, because most classes end as of 8:15. So if our meetings start at 8:30, we could book classrooms in advance and no one would have to miss because they have an evening class.
Thank you. James?
I actually had to deal with that exact issue last year, because one of my classes got rescheduled at the last minute to 5:45 on Wednesday. So I had to choose between missing a class and going to council. But here's the thing. We had our councils end at 11:30, right? That's 5 hours of council sitting. Almost every time we had returning business the next council meeting. Like, we almost never got through our entire agenda with those 5 hours of sitting. Right? And if we push it back to 8 o'clock, it's going to create even a larger problem. While I very much sympathize, right, with the desire to have it start at 8:30, because I've gone through that, like, it's just infeasible for the CSU to like operate and get all its stuff done if that happens. It's just too late a start time. Unless we want to like sit until like, 2 a.m., but I don't think anybody wants to do that.
Thank you. If anyone has a motion to propose or anything? Yes, James?
So, propose end time at, to set all the dates that were set, at 6:30 and at, let's just say 11 o'clock, right, with possible so 2/3 majority vote to extend it by whatever time, and 2 special meetings that do not count towards attendance in July and August as decided by the executive, like the date.
Okay. I mean, yeah, you could do that. Okay, you don't have to mention the 2/3 majority vote to extend because it's already in, like, that's Robert's rules to extend speaking time,
okay.
so that's fine. That being said, okay, so you want to, yeah, so the thing about that is it would have to actually not withstand a standing regulation because to call a special council meeting, you need 3 councillors. So like, yeah, I know it's silly because
Or
the
the
entire
GC.
councillor room or the GC. So it's like I would actually have to get either an email from Chris or from 3 councillors who put their names on the meeting. So it's like council itself can't call a special council, but you folks are welcome to pick 3 of you within yourselves to call it, or Chris.
Or can we do this? Say it's a general meeting. Oh wait, no, that would have to not withstand either, because we said it does not count towards attendance.
Yeah, the special councils don't count towards attendance anyways, so
Yeah.
it's
But,
kind of redundant.
okay, so if we do it, if I specify dates, does that get around that?
It would still have to be called by 3 councillors or the GC.
Actually, just to field the room, is anybody against this idea? Because if there's anybody really against this idea, then we can just say notwithstand. It's unanimous and it doesn't matter.
Not necessarily that I'm against it, I just feel like it's a lot, so maybe we could like divide it up, look at each different part, vote on it separately. Not that I'm against it, it's just there's a lot in this, and there's maybe some stuff that I think are different discussions, like time, like one question I even have is like, will the suggested I can't remember the name, not regular council, special council, like, are we just going to automatically put them at the same time or not, or
To make things more efficient, like just because I've seen this go 6 years in a row now, I would just suggest setting the time of council and then moving on with specials, like how we do in the Facebook group where you can take a poll to see if everyone's available. Because the thing is, if you mandate an SCM to be held on a certain date and then nobody can go to it, it's like,
No, that's why just like a single council meeting, the exec gets the call, and like whenever people are, that's the, like, is there any strong opposition to that? No? Okay, then I just add the notwithstand into there. Like-
you want to mandate the executive, like you want to mandate Chris to call 2 SCMs? Is that?
I mean, I was amenable to it.
Chris is not against it, so there we go.
Because I mean, right, okay, so right now, just so we're all on the same page, all I have is set the dates as per the bylaws and end at 11. Did you say starting at 6:30?
Yeah, starting.
Starting at 6:30, ending at 11. Do you want to deal with the SCMs right now, or do you want to deal with it at a later date?
Don't see any opposition to it, so.
Okay.
Right now.
So we can add a result. Oops. That council mandate the general coordinator to call special council meetings twice during the summer?
Yeah.
Okay.
July and August.
Or, yeah, we can do July and August.
Yeah, because June has a regular council meeting.
Once in July and August.
Okay. So that kind of circumvents the whole, like if you were to mandate that the meeting be held and then there's no quorum, like you can't really do that. So we're just kind of asking Chris to do that.
And if there's not enough people to make it for quorum, the meeting just can't.
Yeah. So I think the best thing to do would be to like post in the group if everyone's available and then go with it. Okay, so currently the motion on the table is to set the bylaws, to set the dates for council meetings as per the bylaws and end at 11 o'clock with a 6:30 starting time. And then be it further resolved that council mandate the general coordinator to call special council meetings in July and August. Is that good? Right. Does anyone want to speak to the motion? James?
I think it's a good idea. You know, as Jared suggested, if people need to, like people live near Loyola, they need to catch the bus. So let's get this done.
All right. That works. Okay, is there any opposition to the motion?
Just have a
Yeah.
question. I don't think I really get it. Like, is there going to be 2 meetings in June and in July and August?
No,
Like
one July.
special? Yeah, I know. But like special meetings, like they're going to be like regular meetings.
Yeah, so the thing about special meetings is they don't count in your attendance. So like, if they happen and you have to miss it, like we'll send out the call out in advance, or the chairperson will send out in advance, and then you can inform the chair whether or not you can go, and then a decision will be made based on that.
Yeah, but like my question is, do we really need these meetings? Like, why not putting them as conditional? Like, if there's anything on table really, and we need to discuss it, then we're gonna make a meeting. If it's not, then why have a meeting?
Yes, what's your name, sorry?
Hannah.
Hannah.
And maybe it would also I mean, it would be good to know exactly what's going on, but maybe that would also be manageable if we get reports from the exec to know what's going on, and not need a special meeting for that. Although I really do see the point in having an actual meeting to discuss stuff, just in case that isn't possible for people. It might also be good just to have something in writing, also for all the people, because I think there's definitely going to be people who would be missing this special meeting, to definitely have everything obviously in writing as well.
Thank you. James?
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, kind of just to answer your question, the point would kind of be because lots of stuff happens in the summer, a lot of the planning for the events and the campaigns happen during the summer, and council during that period kind of has almost no idea what's going on, so it's all kind of done in this, at least this is what happened last year, right, from my experience of last year, right, they kind of just happened behind a veil, and it's just okay, well, just an opportunity for example, the execs to give us a few updates, to maybe put so what's been going on, if we have any concerns, if we have any things that we need to say, right, we can do it then, right, it's not a mandatory meeting, right, because I understand a lot of people are going to be gone during the summer, right, so that's, something that's, and so it's not going to count towards your attendance, you're not going to be penalized for it or anything, right, but it's kind of good to, know kind of what's going on, to get an update in person instead of just okay, here's a document, read it, right, it's a different character of right?
Thank you. And just a reminder as well, I know that everyone's new, but when, it's a little bit informal today because we're a small group, but when we're speaking to a council, just try to address the whole room instead of talking directly to each other. Chris?
Yeah, I just want to say I think it's always a good idea for the executive to be in communication with its board of directors, which is you. So I support the idea of doing summer meetings.
Thank you. Victoria?
Can we add to that, or to the motion, that regardless on if those meetings are called, that at the end of each month we get, let's say, our formal reports, as if we were to have a council meeting, but that way we can actually read, see what, the actual updates?
It's getting
Can we make that a requirement?
a little bit off the spirit of the motion.
Okay.
Just in terms of the agenda point is to set the time for regular meetings, but if you want to make the motion after, that's fine, because then we're just tacking on amendments that kind of don't really have to do with the time.
No, it's fine.
But I would encourage making that after we vote on this one. Patrick?
Actually, I was going to suggest what Victoria was saying, which was to have monthly updates or something of what we're actually doing, because as a counselor from last year, I understand where people are coming from. There was almost no information or knowledge of what was actually going on, and it was very frustrating for me. So I understand where you're all coming from, and maybe monthly updates would be a good idea. I don't know, but yeah.
Thank you. So at this point, the speakers list is exhausted, and the motion we have on the floor is be it resolved that council set the dates as per the bylaws, starting at 6:30 and ending at 11. Be it further resolved that council mandate the general coordinator to call special council meetings in July and August. So that being said, all those in favor of the motion, please raise your placards, or hands, sorry. 11, all those opposed? 0. All right, so that carries. Did anyone else want to make further motions about it, or was it just suggestions about like the reports or anything like that?
Well, can I add my suggestion now?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, well, so then it would just be that, be resolved in case that there is no meeting for the month, that there are still reports given for counselors to be up to date. If someone wants to make it sound a bit smarter, go ahead.
Oh, was it just in case no meeting occurs, or you still want reports anyways?
I guess regardless, like, I guess at the end of the month, just send it.
Okay. Okay, so in that case, be it resolved that the executive send,
Monthly report updates.
okay, during the months of July and August.
Council reports.
Okay, do we have a second? Salman, your motivation, Victoria?
Well, given that the summer months are really busy, there's only 4 weeks in a month, and everyone's all over the place. People leave, people are gone. God knows who's going to make it to this meeting, and God knows if we can really have it, because you all know how it goes. Oh, we'll do it next week, we'll do it next week, and next week never happens. So at least this way everyone will have the documents, they'll have the paperwork, and yeah, if you have any questions, you can talk to executives directly, or get someone else to do whatever you need to. So.
Thank you. Is there any more discussion to be had? Yes.
Maybe we should withdraw from, withstand like the quorum at least for the summer. It's not possible.
It's in the bylaws, not the standing regs. Yeah. Is there anything further? All right, so if not, all those in favor, please raise your hands. So weird to say that. 12. All right, any oppositions? Sorry? Yeah, absolutely. Good paper.
I'm voting by bulbs.
No. I'm good, thank you. All right, so is there anything further on setting the time of regular meetings? Yes, Isaiah? Oh.
If possible, could we move it to 7:30, between 6:30 and 8:30, to give at least, or does it have to be like a start at 6:30?
I mean, we just took a motion on it, so it would have to be somebody from the non-prevailing side of which there was nobody. Sorry, it would have to be someone of the prevailing side of which there was everybody who would make that motion. So you can like suggest it, and then if somebody wants, they can make it. James?
Just on that point, I think there's 90 minutes that you can use, right? So like 90 minutes. If you miss less than 90 minutes, then you're not considered absent, right? So 6:30 it starts. Most of the time it starts a bit later, so 6:40, 6:45. And basically, if you're there before 8:15, you're not counted as absent. So, like, worst case scenario, we have that time window. I used it once when I had an exam. So.
Yes, Jared?
Another thing on that, like even if we look at today, like the meeting did not officially start at 6:30. So if we started at 7:30, really we'd be starting at 7:45. If we started at 8:30, really we're starting closer to 9 o'clock. And then we'd only have 2 hours to get things done.
Okay, 6:40 ain't bad. All right. Okay, so if there's nothing further on this. Sorry, did you have something to say, Mara?
No, it's just the numbers. You said 12, and I was like, so I counted again. We're 11.
Oh.
So I wasn't
I might have
sure.
seen a hand.
Yeah.
Sorry, then it's 11. It's unanimous. My mistake. All right, so in that case, we are on appointments. And since it's council chair and I applied, I should probably leave. And you have to appoint another chair. Patrick?
I move to appoint Chris as temporary chair.
Okay, do we have a second? Jared? Do you want to speak to it?
I mean, we're going to be without a chair for a bit, so like, do we want this meeting to continue? I don't know.
All right, is there any opposition to Chris taking over as chair? Perfect. I will cede the floor and the placard.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I stole mine last meeting.
Me too.
You didn't steal yours?
No.
You gotta steal it. You gotta steal it back. Comes to be off.
It's still in this.
Well, it's memorabilia. I kept mine.
All right, everybody who is here for an interview for chairperson, please leave the room. Everybody who's here for a meeting with minute taker, you also need to leave the room. It needs to be closed session. Yeah, exactly.
So that's it. The camera is too.
All right, so Patrick.
I move to go into closed session.
Okay, everybody, there's a motion on the floor. Patrick is motioning to go into closed session. Do we have a second? Aman? Is that how you pronounce it? Aman, perfect. All right, all in favor of going into closed session? We need 2/3 majority. All right, all those opposed? All those abstaining? Perfect.
Was it unanimous?
It is unanimous. We are now in closed session, which means everything we say in this room at this point could not be told to anybody outside this room.
Yes, James?
Yes. So, I would like to ratify the minutes of closed session.
Thank you. Good second, Jared. Is there any opposition to ratifying the minutes from closed? Perfect. It's just confirming what we did in closed session in open session. It's just procedural. James?
Yes. So, I would like to motion to modify the order of the appointments a bit to put, let me get this out, the contested positions. I believe it's policy appointments and Senate at the end of all the other committee appointments.
Yeah, you have to break Robert's rules to do that. But to be fair, like if you think about it, the total time will be the exact same. Like if we take 5 minutes to do policy and 3 minutes to do one, but we just shove the 5 at the end, it's all gonna be the same. Are you okay with that?
I mean, I would have liked to just get all the uncontested stuff over with and then just to leave all the contested stuff all at once.
Do you want to break Robert's rules and do that?
I think like at the end of the day, it doesn't change anything, right?
All right, yes.
Plus, technically, anything could be contested. Someone could be like, actually, I want to do clubs in space.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just trying to make this as efficient. I understand you're doing the same thing, trying to make it as efficient as possible, but folks, I've seen 7 of these now.
Okay.
Just trust me. James?
All right, so we're at Clubs in Space, right?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get to the
So I motion to nominate everybody that's, so nominate Amadou, Christian, Salman, and Maha for Clubs in Space.
Okay, so a second?
We also need to make, do we need to make sure it's friendly or can we assume that it is?
Well, I need a second first.
Yeah, but after we do we need to assume that can we assume that it's friendly or does everyone need
Well, I mean, I'm gonna ask if there's opposition or if anyone wants to like.
When I say friendly, I mean like do the people on this list have to say, yeah, I'm okay with this or
Yes.
I mean,
they added themselves.
okay, I just wanted to make,
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that we didn't have to.
I second it.
Okay, so seconded by Salman. I have, you have Elizabeth's motivations, right?
Yeah,
But she's
not doing clubs in space.
Okay, perfect. Eduardo?
I just wanted to just say it before we go along, that obviously if anyone who was, let's say they didn't get to see the Excel sheet until after a certain club was already filled, this is completely informal. If you do want to any committee and the thing was filled before you could have your name to it, you should say it. You will regret it if you don't. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Naomi?
I just wanted to mention I have Christian's motivations if ever there's contestation.
Okay, thanks. Yes,
I
Jared?
have a question about seconding. Wouldn't, like, we asked for a second, but wouldn't the fact that they already nominated themselves and then James said, let's nominate them, wouldn't that count as the seconding?
Well, they're not here to do it, is the only thing. So
Okay.
it's like they,
I
like,
was
it's
just
just kind of
confused.
unofficial. Yeah.
Okay, I just wasn't
This is
sure.
something that we did for saving the time, I believe.
Yeah.
Something like this. So you just can take this as a saving time. This is
Right,
not
okay,
100%
folks,
guys.
Patrick?
Iverson.
Oh, sorry, you're on the list. Chris?
I also rescind.
Okay, Desiree?
I just wonder if, should we do a introduction of each committee, or, I mean, everyone knows what it is?
We should do introduction.
Yeah, definitely.
A small introduction of every committee?
Yeah, well, okay, so just so that we do this in the right order. Okay, I'm gonna say the agenda point, person from the committee is gonna say like a couple seconds about what their committee does, when it meets, because that's important. We'll go through the adding the people from the list, and then if anyone else wants to nominate themselves, good. If not, we'll move to a vote. Everyone good with that? Yeah. Perfect. And if there's contestations, then we'll use the motivations. So this was Clubs in Space.
That's me.
Karen.
Okay, so what does the Clubs in Space Committee do? We give a lot of money out to clubs, and that's pretty much the bulk of it. Club will present their budget, and we'll look at it, see what they're spending it on, and see if we agree. If their budget's adequate, we'll look at our full budget and see if it fits, and we'll just give them money basically. We're meeting 2 times a month. or one time a month. I'm trying to make them as regular as possible to make things as efficient as possible. I already actually booked the conference room for a whole bunch of days, Wednesday nights at 6:30 on non-council nights. Obviously that's amendable, but I just, like, it depends on the committee and availabilities, but yeah.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to add themselves to the list? Going once? Okay, if not, James?
Motion omnibus.
Okay, there's a second. Jared, is there any opposition? Perfect. So we have a Clubs and Space Committee. Appointments Committee. Chris, this one's yours.
Hi everybody, I'll be chairing Appointments Committee this year. So what does appointments do? Mainly we fill the member-at-large seats on every committee, as well as find senators. We could assist in finding judicial board members. We could assist in finding a CEO if we have to look for one. These are all things that appointments has been tasked with in the past. And more. Any university body that has an empty seat, we could help find someone for it. So we do interviews. It's a lot of HR. It's a lot of learning how to create questions, and also to maybe be a bit more intuition-based with following up with some interesting questions. I'm a very big fan of interviews. I love doing them. I love meeting people, and I love trying to find out when someone's passionate about something, and then to be able to bring them into a position where they can make the change that they want. So if you want to do that, or you have your other things you want to do for appointments, join the committee.
All right, thank you. Do you have the list by any chance? I've lost all access to internet. Yes, James?
Yes. I motion to nominate Salman, Elizabeth, Naomi, Victoria, Hannah, and Christian.
Thank you. Seconded by Naomi.
No, sorry, Christiane wanted to take herself off of policy committee. Oh, sorry,
Policy
no.
or appointment?
We are doing appointment right
I'm
now.
sorry, one sec, I don't want to work this one.
Well, she's on both policy and appointment.
Yeah, she wanted to get,
Off policy?
yeah, sorry, off
Okay,
policy.
off
Don't
policy,
like
that's-
that. Sorry.
Yeah, we'll deal with that after. Okay, would anyone else like to add themselves? Yes, Elias?
No, I'm seconding.
Oh, okay, second. Is there anyone else who'd like to add themselves to the list for appointments? Okay. Yeah, there's 5.
Okay.
No, there
So-
are like 7.
Am I not seeing? We're at appointments,
Yeah.
not policy.
Yeah.
We are 6.
Yeah.
How many people?
Oh, sorry, I just can't count.
6.
Yeah, so there's 4 seats, folks, for all the committees. So since there's a contested seat, we can move to motivation, so everyone can just say a couple words about why they'd like to sit on the committee. Also, that's really
Is
annoying.
the buzzing from the computer?
I don't think so.
It's from there.
Not quite sure what to do about that. Yes, Maha?
I want to agree. For which committee are we going to go into motivations right now?
Appointments committee.
Ah,
Yes, Amma?
I'll motivate for Elizabeth. Can
Yeah.
I go take time to
Go ahead.
today? Okay. So, as a hiring body, I believe appointments committee plays a large role in being in the face of the CSU. As such, I think I would be a valuable addition to this committee by bringing an impartial perspective and diverse cultural background. It is imperative that an eclectic group of individuals sit on this committee so that various perspectives are considered. I would love the opportunity to bring people into the CSU. It is an invaluable role, and I would love to serve this committee.
Thank you. Salman, why would you like to sit on the appointments committee?
Firstly, I have a wide experience in clubs and in association, not just in Concordia but outside. And doing that, appointing people have given me a uniqueness of having a conversation with people and knowing them in a very fast scale. Again, that's why I was nominating myself for the appointments committee. Thank you.
Is everything okay out there? I just want to make sure that the...
It's an alarm that's ringing, but nothing really seems to be wrong.
Try hitting the lights.
I just want to make sure that everyone can hear and...
Edward.
It's
Ed.
not a drill, Selma.
Ed.
Yeah.
You don't need your thinking.
Try hitting these lights for a sec. Like hit off the lights.
No, it's actually it's the alarm in the next room over.
Oh.
Like you literally see the alarm pad flashing. Like it's
You can get
Is
Security maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Are we okay with continuing while the sound is on?
Yeah.
Okay. If ever anyone has any problems though, just please let us know and we can take a recess. But if not, we can continue with motivations and hopefully this will end shortly.
Point of information.
Oh, Chris, could you just close the door? Thanks.
Privilege.
Yeah, there you go. All right, Naomi, why would you like to sit on the appointments committee?
Should I do myself or Christian first?
Either one. Do it yourself is fine.
Okay, so one of the reasons that I want to do appointments committee is because I think that every student needs a fair chance. I am a good judge of character. I'm honest in my conflict of interests, so that wouldn't be an issue. I'm able to put my personal biases and beliefs aside, so if I don't agree with someone's ideologies, I can put that aside and look at their qualifications for this appointment, whatever that would be. And I also consider how individuals have different life experiences and backgrounds. So, example, minorities or other, I realize that not everyone has the same opportunities in life, and I take that into consideration when I would be on the appointment committee. And also I really think it's important because, as Chris mentioned, we appoint very important positions like legal, CEO, judicial, and I think it's important to have a non-biased opinion when being on an appointment committee.
And you can do Christian's motivation.
Christian's motivation is, one of my biggest reasons for wanting to do appointments committee is because I will appoint student senators, which will literally determine whether or not university divest from fossil fuels. I like to think I have a good judgment when it comes to this committee. I know how important that it can be. I understand that appointment is a big responsibility in general, and I think given my time and dedication, I would be able to fulfill my role on this committee.
Continue. Victoria, why don't you sit on the committee?
All right. Well, hello guys. So as someone who's criticized the role and people that we have hired in the past, I think that I would be in a good position to do this because I'm, as a lot of people, and as a task that, as a quality you need to be able to do this. I'm very quick at judging people. I love meeting new people. One thing that I would hope to do working on the appointments committee is really get new students and students that are not really involved with the CSU onto these committees because, as we've said multiple times, the recognition and the student involvement unfortunately is not as high as it should be or could possibly be. So, yeah.
And Hannah.
So I would like to be on appointments committee because I also am committed to having the best possible student representatives on all the the university bodies. And I am also good at character judgment. I would be non-biased, and I have done a lot of writing and journalism in the past. So I think I would be good at coming up with questions to ask people, and and I really. For me, it's really important to have, as the appointments committee has the wants to make a focus on diversity in all bodies. So I think that's a really important point, and I would like to be part in creating this diversity. Yes.
Thank you. Okay, at this point, the floor is open to speak or move to a vote. Yes, Victoria?
I just wanted to add something. As I said, I wanted new students involved, which is kind of important, but I also want to make sure that I can follow with them going on. There are a lot of committees, and obviously there's a lot of things you need to know about each committee, so I wanted to also ensure that I can help them throughout their mandate. So yeah, I just wanted to add that in, sorry.
Thank you. Okay, is there anything further to add before we move to a vote? Okay, so if not, yes, Jared?
I just remember this was something that was, I'll say, contentious last year. But gender parity when we're appointing people, especially in maybe more contested seats, for example, that's just something maybe we can keep in mind, if we can have gender parity versus an all female presenting or all male presenting, when it's possible, sometimes it's good to do that because that is currently a stance that the CSU holds.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so if there's nothing further, rats. Chris had all the little papers and now he's gone. Do you have, oh, there we go, perfect. So Eduardo will hand out the tiny papers.
They already have one from the last time.
Perfect, okay. All right, so folks, your candidates' names are on the board right here. Can everybody see them?
Yeah. You have 4 votes.
Yeah, and you have 4 votes, so you can do You can vote for 4 people, you can vote for 1 and abstain 3, you can vote for 2 and abstain 2, as long as your total number is 4.
So, well, just for when we get through voting. Oh my God, here. I can hear the one of my ears, so I have hypersensitive ear.
Folks, is everyone okay if Eduardo's my scrutineer?
Yeah.
Not the chair of the committee and doesn't have a horse in the race, so we're all good.
That's normal, that's true.
Donations.
Bless you.
Let's see if you're shy now.
Yeah, we need a coffee.
Yeah.
Next time get a go for coffee.
That, she's in charge of that.
Please provide council meetings. We motion, that's our next
Yeah,
motion.
motion. Second.
Someone tried the motion last year and we never went for it.
Really?
Yeah, they completely ignored it.
She has a lot of things she wants.
Motion
Let's have coffee and
That was Patrick.
Actually, if you want to do it in business arising at the end, like actually a counselor was going to bring that motion, but it was one of the meetings that went super, super late, and then we ended up postponing everything, and then the counselor never came back. So there was a motion there once, but if anyone wants to bring it up in business arising.
Just the point that
Yep.
like Chris just went to Tom Harden for somewhere to get a coffee, so
Did he really?
spam him.
It was not
Everyone. My order is this.
You didn't go with security?
I went to get security.
I think no matter what I do to every time, it's like
So I'm an international student.
no, you would. You just get the back student.
All right, folks, order please. So the appointees to this year's appointments committee are Salman, Naomi, Victoria, and Henna. So congratulations on your appointments. There are several more appointments to come, so you don't get one committee, you'll probably get another. Sorry? Yourself, Naomi, Victoria, and Henna. All right, so the policy committee.
Wait, sorry.
Yes?
Can you just repeat the winner?
Yeah, it's here.
Victoria, you want?
And who's motioning it?
It was a secret ballot, so it like this was the motion basically.
Is that how it works?
Yes, James?
Alright, so we're at policy?
Yes.
Okay, so I motion to nominate, nominate myself, Elizabeth, Christiane said no, right?
Yeah, Christiane said.
Okay, Maha, Naomi, Salman, and Hannah.
Right. Yes.
A second.
Oh, second. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. All right, Jared. Seconds. Is there anyone else who'd like to add their name for policy committee? Yes.
So there is Elizabeth running for it.
Okay. So we can add her name.
She's already there.
Oh, she is. Oh, okay. I'll go through the motivations in just a second. I just want to make sure our list is all correct. Is there anyone else who'd like to add their name to the list before we start motivations? Okay, so if not, you can read Elizabeth's.
Okay. So I'm reading Elizabeth's motivation.
The policy committee is one I would like to be on the most, and it is at the core of why I ran. I believe I would best be suited to sit on policy committee because I have a proven strong interest. This is shown through me by being a public affairs and policy student that has worked for the US federal government, specifically doing policy research and helping constituents. As a CSU counselor, I am dedicated to being able to pass comprehensive policies that provide the utmost protection and opportunities for students, especially the most marginalized ones. And this would be the greatest chance for me to practice what I am to do for the rest of my life.
All right, thank you. James, why would you like to sit on policy? Oh, sorry.
We're executing a description of every.
Oh, sorry. You're correct. I forgot about that.
Just make sure.
It's Patrick.
Patrick, sorry.
Hi everyone. So I'm your incoming academic and advocacy coordinator, and I also sit in policy committee. Basically, there's several things we do. So we do pass policies, obviously. So we've passed the code of conduct, we passed the sexual violence policy last year. And so there's also other things we do. We examine fee levies often in January and February, the fee levy applications when they come in, because they go to referendum, and it's a process. Another thing we do is policies, and that's pretty much it. So we meet like about once a month in the school year, maybe more if we're doing more intense policy work, but yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, is there any questions for Patrick before we move on?
I have a question.
Yes.
What do you personally want to accomplish this year with policy?
So there's a few things that we were mandated to do. So the first thing was, I think Andrew last council meeting in this mandate mandated us to do an executive bonuses policy by the end of the year. So that's going to probably be done by April, I would say, in terms of the mandate. I personally want to be pushing to change the way elections are done, because it's just been, the CSU has this history of, it's not even just like the past couple of years, it's been like it's happened repeatedly where people have been disqualified and whatnot. This happened I think in 2011 or 2012 or something. It's a constant issue, and we need to look at how we could best do that, and so that's a huge project. That's off the top of my head at the moment, but yeah, so it would be that thing. Obviously, we'd be doing fee levy application stuff, and then if there were other projects that councillors wanted to do, we could definitely work together on it.
Right, thank you. Okay, so if not, we can move back to motivations, and James, the floor is yours.
Right. So, yeah, hello. I would like to be on the policy committee for a few reasons. I mean, I was on policy committee last year. It's something that I enjoyed doing last year. We got a lot of stuff done. Like I remember going through the fee levy applications and making some very pointed criticisms at certain fee levy groups last year. I mean, also when it comes to policies that I'd like to kind of go forward, and I'd really like to look over, because I think it's been the third year in a row where like a substantial part of a team's been disqualified at the elections and then has had the disqualification overturned. And I want to work on fixing that somehow, and because I think the CEO has too much power currently, too much discretionary power without any kind of checks. Another thing I'd like to do is I'd like to very much look over the positions book and outline some modifications there, because I know we have a lot of positions in the positions book that are very old, right? That, for example, we have a position specifically saying that we are specifically against Pauline Marois' Charter of Values, which no longer exists. Right now, I know that some people might want to keep it as like a historical record of what we believe at the time, but I think that there are like certain things where I think we can, for example, change the police brutality. We have anti-police brutality motions, but it's not actually anti-police brutality. It's specific things like we don't like what the police did specifically in 2012, specifically to student protesters. Right, which is something I think can be kind of modified and made more general if we want to keep that type of position in the first place. Right, so I think there are a lot of stuff, and there are certain things like the financial. Anyway, so there are a few things I want to modify, push forward. I like doing it last year. Also, I'd like to motivate for somebody to either pick me or Salman on their voting, because, you know, engineering students, we're the only 2 engineering students, and both of us are on this, so please, you know, faculty representation, please put at least one of us on your ballots.
Thank you. Hannah?
So as I mentioned before, I have experience in writing, I have experience in journalism, and I have also experience in writing policy. In my high school, I was involved in making our policy all gender neutral, because that was not the case at the time. In German, it's very hard to have everything be gender neutral. So I have, yeah, as I said, I have a lot of experience with that, and I really want to make the best possible policies for our student union. Yes.
Thank you very much. Maha.
Thank you. So initially, when student elections were happening, and I would have execs that would kind of approach me, and tell me all about their very idealistic notions about what they wanted to get done. When I would ask them, okay, yes, this all sounds lovely, but what are your actual, like, concrete policies that you are planning on putting into place, and like how will you actually do this? How are you going to go about doing this? And they told me that, well, actually nothing can be done unless you're on council. That is where you're able to write policies, unless you go to Senate. That is where you can actually hold the administration accountable. And that is the reason why I ran. That is the reason that I am in this room today. So not only does my various experience in executive positions in other organizations and other non-for-profits, so my experience, for example, in resolution writing, how to write concrete policies to hold accountable the administration. I know what a key role infrastructure plays. I know that in order for a policy to be effective, people need to be held accountable. How do you do that? By writing effective, coherent policies that don't contradict other ones that are currently in place. And my specialty happens to be loopholes. So I look very forward to work, if I'm elected, to be working on this committee, to be working, because I have been following very closely the work that other policy members have been doing in the past, for example, the Code of Conduct and the sexual violence policy. So to continue on their work, that's a great stepping stone, but there's so much more that needs to be done. Thank you.
Naomi.
So last year I was a coordinator on SASU, which is the Sociology and Anthropology Student Union, and I'm currently the incoming president. Being on SASU has helped me understand the importance of bylaws and policy making. I've personally worked on amending some of the policies in SASU last year, and I plan on, with the rest of the team, amending some more in order for them to reflect SASU's values and ensure that all executives are held accountable to their actions, which is what ideally I would like to do if I'm on policy committee for CSU. I familiarized myself with mostly all the CSU bylaws, standing regulations, and code of conduct, etc. And I believe in their efficiency. Pardon. I know how important and how big of a responsibility policymaking is, and I sincerely believe in the power of policymaking for the sake of getting things done in an expedient and prudent manner. I think I would be a good choice for policy committee because I'm quick on my feet, I think logically, ethically, and I like to have a diverse and open-minded perspective when it comes to students' policymaking. I want to continue the amazing work that has been done on the sexual harassment and violence policies, as well as the code of conduct, because I know that such policies can be life-changing for some, and I understand the delicacy and hard work in creating such policies. Policymaking in general helps ensure that people are held accountable to their actions, and that's what I would like to do. That's it.
Thank you. And Selma?
Yep, thank you. I would like to nominate myself for policy committee because I've been involved in different clubs, starting up new clubs at Concordia University. I founded 2 clubs by myself, so writing their policies, writing their constitution of those clubs and starting them. Furthermore, I founded an NGO 3 years ago, and I'm sitting in the board of directors of the NGO, and I take care of the policies and all the constitution based on the basis of the NGOs. Furthermore, presently I am sitting in a policy chair for one of the I should not say that, but a political organization. I'm a current policy chair, so giving me this responsibility would be, I know the things, how things works, how to make changes and how to amend them, and by respecting the current laws and regulations we have. Thank you.
Are you a club executive?
Not here.
Okay, just making sure. Sorry, for folks for Clubs and Space Committee, I forgot to mention that at the beginning. You can't be a club executive to sit on it. So just to make sure everyone who's appointed on it is not a club executive. Perfect. Okay, so thus concludes the motivations for Policy Committee. Is there anything anyone wants to say before we move to vote? Okay, so if not, Eduardo's handing out the papers. Yes, Jared?
That's another thing that I think I want to mention, just so that people have in mind. now that we're starting to get into like, once we're appointing like 3, 4 plus committees, just something to keep in mind is like people that are on less committees, maybe you should give them a better chance to get one. Like, you know, the difference between being on 2, 3, 4 committees, it's someone who's on 0. Like maybe you should vote for the person who's on 0 because their job as counselors is to be on committees.
Thank you.
Yeah, if I can speak to what Jared just said. Also keep in mind, you don't really, realistically, you might not have time for 3 committees, so keep that in mind when you're voting. Also, it's good to make sure everybody's busy in the council.
Perfect. Yes.
To speak to that, yeah, it's when we have our committee meetings, it's really important to have our councilors show up, and like you're all doing this on a volunteering basis. So if you sign up, please, like, we understand you're all students, but we need you there to do our job, so make sure you don't take too much on your plate. But yay for involvement. Go you.
Okay, so at this point everyone has all their papers, so it's 4 names or 1, 2, 3 and abstain.
Caitlin, do I need to use the washroom at this point? Oh, really?
Denied.
She's the chair, not the homeowner.
Thank you for that.
Water when we win it. Stay anti-hydrated.
James?
Yes.
Good
You're
stuff.
saving us hours.
I recognize it now, and I want to say thank you.
Has
That was a great
everyone
idea.
submitted their vote?
Yeah. This?
Making the list, yeah.
Yeah.
Last call.
Yes, that was. Thank you very much.
Gary, did you submit?
You already wrote the names?
Okay, we'll be back in a couple minutes.
I think the rest of the committees are.
Yeah.
I think the rest of the committees are.
Yeah, I guess it becomes He comes back in like in the American.
All right, folks, so the appointments committee, counselors on the committee who've been appointed are Maha, Naomi, Salman, and Elizabeth. Congratulations on your appointments. So at this point, we can move on to the finance committee. So if anyone wants to motion, yes, James. Oh, sorry. Yes, Desiree. I keep forgetting the executives.
Hi. Can you reiterate who made it to policy?
Yes, here, I have a paper.
So Naomi?
Maha, Naomi, Salman, and Elizabeth.
There are 2 people writing.
Sorry.
Azia, she's doing it.
All good? All right, Desiree, you have the floor.
Hello, I'm an incoming finance coordinator. We will meet about once a month. We will approve the budget, we will review the budget, we will review the actuals. So attention to detail, this is a lot of responsibility. And we also have to approve any expense that's above 10K or any asset that's above 1K. So it's really just making sure we show up and keeping our union accountable for everything. And yeah, you're already there anyway. So.
All right.
Can I motion to just approve these 4 people?
Yep, I'll just,
Appoint-
does anyone want to add themselves to the list? Before we go ahead? Okay, go ahead.
I motion to appoint these 4 individuals to Finance Committee.
All right, good second. Naomi, is there any opposition to appointing Arad, Nicholas, Aman, and Elias to the committee? All right, perfect. So congratulations, you are on the Finance Committee. We will move on to Student Life Committee. First off, yes, Eduardo.
All right.
Forget the executive.
It's all right. Student Life Committee is the best committee. It's actually a really fun committee, mainly because our main priority is giving out money to people who deserve it quite a bit. So it meets about once a month, maybe every 3 weeks. What happens is basically people are going to apply for us for funding from all around the school, no matter what faculty. And we basically get to look over their proposal, see if it makes sense, and then give them the money. We also, last year it wasn't done, but in previous years, Student Life Committee also got a bit involved in like the day-to-day activities of the Student Life Coordinator, which is, if you guys want that to be happening, sure. It doesn't really bug me very much. But the main priority is a funding body. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
I motion to nominate all 4 candidates.
Okay, do a second. Salman. Is there anyone who would like to add their name to the list? Okay, if not, we can move to a motion. James?
Motion to omnibus.
Okay, do we have a second? Jared? Is there any opposition to appointing those 4? Perfect. So they are appointed to the Student Life Committee. Yes?
Can I just get a visual on who's finance already? I don't know people's names. Who's the finance?
Arad's not here.
Okay, but you two? Okay.
Arad is missing a finger, you'll see him.
Okay,
Yeah.
we have to meet.
Like we know he's hurt, but don't point it out.
All right, folks. Okay, order, please. We will move on with the External and Campaigns Committee and Executive Isaiah.
Hey guys, I'm Isaiah. So the External and Mobile Campaigns Committee oversees my budget as external and making sure that, and has a hand in picking the, helping guide the decision for the annual campaign of the year. Last year was sexual violence, the year before was divestment. So especially coming soon, I'm gonna want the input of everyone in this room, actually council, like to pick a suggestion, and then the committee will go through the submissions, vet them, and see what the best campaign will be for the year. Otherwise, once the campaign is set, it will become more external, has a funding body, which, like Student Life, so you may not be the best one, gives out money to different organizations who deserve it and need it for their own campaigns, their own events, as long as they go by our Bible, which is the Book of Positions, to make sure that they don't conflict when we're giving out money. And then any strike funds would have to go through externals as well.
Thank you. Yes, James.
Motion to nominate Hannah, Esther, myself, and Lay to the external committee.
Okay, second, Victoria. Would anyone else like to add their name? Yes, Victoria?
I just had an inquiry, I guess, at this point. Is it possible to add my name to external, however, obviously not have a vote, like not necessarily actually sit on it, but be at every meeting, like just to be informed with everything that's going on?
Any meeting. They're open session.
Okay.
Unless there's anything.
So I can just request to get all the emails for that and everything, and I can.
As long
Yeah.
as Isaiah's down with that.
Perfect. That was my only question.
But yeah, they're all open session committees, so.
I guess
Right.
Can everyone in external just raise your hand for me, please?
Yeah, folks who had nominated themselves for external.
Who?
Esther isn't here.
Okay, so if not, we can, I just need a motion to appoint. Yes, James?
Motion to omnibus.
Okay, seconded by Salman. Is there any opposition to appointing the 4? Perfect, so that carries unanimously. Sustainability, would anyone like to speak to the committee? Chris?
Which committee?
Sustainability.
Oh, sustainability, yes. So unfortunately, Selena couldn't make it today, so in her stead, I'll be explaining what Sustainability Committee does. A large part of what it does, okay, I'll read the description, that's even better. You can't go wrong with a description. It's responsible for fostering and supporting a culture of sustainability for undergraduate students and the Concordia community. Shall oversee and make recommendations to council regarding the effect of the student union or the university's practices and operations on the environment and the community. Also, I believe sustainability gives out money to projects that further sustainability at Concordia. So if that's something you're interested in, please nominate yourself for that committee.
And I am interim sustainability committee chair.
Oh yeah, it's true, we voted on that. So you should have did all that.
Yeah, but I let you do it. You have a nicer voice.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone who would like to add their name to the sustainability, to add themselves on? There's still 1 seat open. And just let you know, folks, for these standing committees, if they're not filled, they reoccur every council. So they'll keep showing up on the agenda like a ghost. Jared?
Also, just to mention, there is going to be a by-election for any seats that are left unfilled. So let's just, I'm on the fine arts, and there's still a fine arts seat available. So if in the by-elections, another fine arts student runs, and all the seats are filled, then they cannot sit on a committee. So just want to throw that out there. I mean,
Oh, you're good.
Yeah. If I may speak on sustainability, I see that there's currently 3 people put down and 1 empty spot. So right now we don't have Selena with us because unfortunately she's in Lebanon. There might be a shortfall in the amount of work power we have going towards sustainability, this is a place where we're probably going to be lacking hands to help us. So if there is a committee that you should be nominating yourself for today that will really help the executive and the union, it is this one. So if you have some extra time, we would really appreciate the extra help.
Thank you. If not, there's nominations in June too. Okay, so if not, James?
Motion to omnibus appoint.
Okay, do a second. Is there any opposition to appointing the 3 councillors there to sustainability? Perfect. So if not, if there's no opposition, then that is unanimous. And we can move on to the Loyola Committee. Well, with the executive Loyola?
I am.
Oh, there you are, sorry.
Okay. So literally off of this description, the Loyola Committee is responsible for advising the CSU on how best to serve students at Loyola. It will also make reports and recommendations to council regarding all CSU events, activities, and projects at Loyola. In addition, the committee is responsible for ensuring more food options in Loyola events. My particular mandate would be I'm planning on definitely working on more Loyola events. Part of that would include a concert budget, so you could help me choose what artists are coming to Loyola. That's pretty cool. As well as a speaker series, as there are 7 main departments that are represented at Loyola. So if you would like to help me with figuring out the budget, sorry, not the budget, but the allocation and like which specific speakers should come to speak at Loyola from all of our different departments, that would be really great. And I do plan on having more than 1 meeting a semester, so it's gonna be lit. And yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yes, James?
A motion to nominate Nicholas, Victoria, Jared, and Elias to Loyola Committee.
You. Is there anyone else who would like to add their name to the list? Okay, so now we just need a motion to appoint. James?
Motion to omnibus appoint.
Okay, do we have a second? Jared? Is there any opposition to appointing Nicholas, Victoria, Jared, and Elias to the Loyola Committee? All right, perfect. So congratulations, you folks are on the Loyola Committee. And with that, we are done standing committees, folks. So just for some historical context, so BIPOC doesn't actually go through council. The rationale that was presented when the committee was formed was that it was kind of weird to have a predominantly white council being the one to appoint the BIPOC committee. So the council the BIPOC committee self appoints and then just passes the report through council at the next committee. So that's how that one goes. Yes, Isaiah.
So in the incoming year, it's going to be so far me and Desiree overseeing the BIPOC committee. So we'll let you know, for those of you who are BIPOC, when applications go out and everything.
All right, thank you. Any questions about BIPOC? Okay, so now we can move on to councillors to University Senate. Who wants to explain the Senate? Patrick.
So hey everyone. My name is Patrick, as you know, academic coordinator. So Senate basically deals with primarily academic issues concerning the university. It deals with course changes and whatnot. So it's you're going to have to be available Fridays every so often. I don't have the schedule right now, but you're going to have to make yourself available for Fridays for academic caucus and for Senate itself, which usually I think it's at 2 o'clock if I remember correctly. And they last around 2 hours, but we do have a lot of academic caucus meetings to discuss our strategy about how we want to proceed with certain things inside the university. But yeah, that's what we do.
Thank you. Are there any questions? James?
So I would like to motion to, send the appointment of the 3 faculty seats that weren't elected, give that decision to the faculty associations. So there's 1 engineering rep that wasn't elected to the Senate, there's 1 JMSB rep that wasn't elected to the Senate, and there was 1 fine arts rep that wasn't elected to the Senate. Motion to give the appointment power of those 3 seats to ECA, CASA, JMSB, and FASA, respectively.
That's 4 for 3 seats.
No.
Can I speak on this? Because actually.
Well, CASA JMSB it's called CASA JMSB, right?
Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, folks, there is a motion on the table. Do we have a second for the motion? Yeah, I'll give it to you in a sec. Do we have a second for the motion?
I say.
Oh.
No.
Used to it.
Okay, Patrick?
Can I actually motion this, because I did pre-plan this, because as this is the crappy thing about what happened is that we didn't get any senators. As every faculty gets one senator with the option, like one person, like one spot with the option to be elected, and normally, sadly enough, it's that they're not usually, they're not like, people don't necessarily run. It's been happening for the past couple of years, but so I guess I should, so I'm just going to read out this motion. I'll paste it. If you like it, great. If you don't, vote it down. But anyways, be resolved that the 3 Senate seats left vacant at the 2019 general elections under Standing Regulation 239 FG and H for the faculties of Fine Arts, Gina Cody School of Engineering and Computer Science, and the John Wilson School of Business be appointed from each respective faculty through the Appointments Committee with appropriate consultation with each respective faculty association. Be it further resolved that 1 senator under Standing Regulation 239D be appointed from the Faculty of Arts and Science by the Appointments Committee with appropriate consultation from the Arts and Science Federation of Associations, and be it further resolved that the 3 remaining seats under Regulation 239D also be appointed by the Appointments Committee and must be a student at large as defined by the standing regulations. So basically, I'm going to just explain this. So the
needs a second.
Yeah.
Do we have a second? Maha?
So I'll just explain what this does. Basically, the goal of this motion is the problem with Senate, from what I've been understanding with my training through Michaela, is the fact that we don't necessarily have information passing through the faculty councils, which do a lot of the stuff. A lot of it gets omnibus through Senate, through the consent agenda. So basically, the goal of this is that we bring ourselves closer to the faculty associations so that we can have a better representation inside of Senate, because the agreement between faculty associations and the CSU is that we appoint to Senate, but they deal with faculty stuff. So it's harder for us to know what's going on in faculty councils. And then, yeah, so basically the other part of the motion is to have students who are not necessarily involved with CSU get appointed to Senate. But yeah, I'll copy and paste it in the Facebook group right now.
Thank you. Eduardo and then Chris?
I just have a little issue with this one, and the fact is that those 3 seats are elected in the general election, and if we are now appointing people that are supposed to be elected by that region, we could also start appointing everyone in council who has not been filled up in that seat. Like, I think it just, I think it's like
direct response to that,
yeah,
because it happens every year.
Yeah, there's actually a standing regulation that allows specifically for that.
no, okay, never mind then.
Yes, Chris.
Yeah, 1 second, I'm just rereading the motion.
Patrick, your motion is the one that Chris posted, right?
I just posted in the council.
Okay, that's the
Yeah, first, before I get to my point, just a quick question for Patrick. You said 1 senator be appointed from the Faculty of Arts and Science. Why are we doing that when we already have one?
I don't think, what's her name? I'm blanking. Miriam, I don't think she's on faculty council, so like.
Oh, okay, I get it now.
Like, that was the goal, but it's really up to council what they want to do.
Okay, I understand.
That was just the intent of the motion, basically.
But yeah, basically what Patrick wants to do is get more people on Senate from the faculty associations, which is CASA, ASFA, ECA, FASA, and also take the 3 remaining senator, and also make sure that, that's it. The 3 senator seats, give them to the faculty associations. Your options as a council are to give them to yourselves, to give them to students at large, or to do this. I like this option because I feel like the CSU is often not allying itself with larger associations on campus. And that actually works to our disadvantage, because when you have a big protest like we had this week, and you can't depend on the people at those faculty associations, you're actually, I don't know, I think your bargaining power is a lot weaker. So if you want stronger bargaining power for anything, for bathrooms, for tuition, it's good to have a close alliance where we're all working together in places such as Senate.
Thank you. Victoria and then James.
I want to just say that I think that his motion is very strong. I do think we should vote for it for the only reason that having people on these associations involved is going to be very good to have more involvement. I kind of disagree with what our colleague has said. I think that having people on CASA actually involved, well, and for CASA itself, will have them more intrigued or more interested in actually being involved in our campaign, and it's information that they'll be able to pass on to the students at large, because they deal with students face to face every single day. So I think it's something we should really consider, and it would help with our exposure.
Thank you. James.
Yeah, so I think my position on this motion should be rather obvious, seeing as I basically motioned for something almost identical, except in less proper wording. So please vote yes. I think that, Patrick, they basically took a look at the standing regulations and made sure to take the spirit of my kind of haphazardly worded motion and put it into something that the CSU can constitutionally implement. So please vote yes.
Alright, so there's no further speakers list, so we can move to a vote. So all those in favor of the motion, please raise your placards. 10. All those opposed? 0. All right, so that carries. The standing regs note that we'll appoint to Senate at the June meeting from council. It's up to council whether they want to notwithstand that and do it today or do it in June.
But wouldn't doing it today and getting it the minutes ratified technically be the same thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, James?
I guess I nominate all the lovely people on the list for Senate.
Thank you. Okay, and there are...
So that's me, Elizabeth, Salman, Jared, Maha, Naomi, and Aman.
Right, perfect. And with the motion that just passed, there are 2 seats up for appointment. All right. Okay, would anyone... Yes, Jared?
I'd like a second.
Oh, okay, perfect, thank you. Would anyone like to add themselves to the list? Or if not, we can start motivation. All right, James, why would you like to be on Senate?
So, as somebody whose schedule last year was effectively played around with ragdoll by the university administration, especially somebody, I think this is something, especially in aerospace engineering, we get this a lot. We get the short end of the stick when it comes to schedules and rearrangements, because we have certain very specific classes that only we have to take, except sometimes, professors change their minds, and the class sequence that we had to take, that we started taking, in our first year, no longer works in the third year, because now there's a bunch of conflicts because they've changed their minds. I think that this is something that, if Senate looks like the place to bring these concerns up, I believe that I'll be doing a good job there, especially in that area. So I have some complaints to bring up to Senate, and I think having kind of a strong presence from, I guess, the engineering faculty. So once again, please vote for the engineering faculty. In this case, that means, I think, it's the Salman. Okay, so Salman there. Okay, so Salman's there too. So one of us, please, get the engineering faculty in as many places as possible. Let's do this. That's my motivation.
Thank you.
The Academic Caucus is central to the functioning of the CSU. As a body meant to advocate on the behalf of the students, I believe I would be a great asset to the Senate. As an African woman, I can firmly say people of color are rarely offered a seat at the table at Concordia. I believe the combination of my background and passion to represent students' interests would make me a good candidate for this committee. In addition, as a body that communicates directly with administration, I would be eager to facilitate open dialogue and address the accountability of the administration. This role of liaising with the administration is one I would vote consistently consistent time and effort in order to ensure students are represented at the level they deserve.
Thank you. Sorry, I just can't see the list. Who was next on the?
The next one is you, yeah.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Okay, sorry guys, if I would be like sounding less motivated because my battery is over. So thank you so much for believing in me for the last committees. Lastly, for Senate, I would like to nominate myself because I believe that my past experience in student life, like I have been involved in Student Success Center, Student Welcome Center, and a lot of faculty, like my own faculty, Engineering Computer Science Association, and the faculty itself. I represented ENCS in different platforms, represented engineers. Now I'd like to represent myself as on behalf of council to the Senate, bringing all the questions that would be raising within my mandate to the Senate, and also like giving this opportunity would be like I will do my best to fulfill all the requirements that should be done. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Jared?
All right, I didn't prepare a speech, but I'll do this anyways. Well, first off, I'm the only fine arts person here, period. So no one ran for Senate. I was going to run for Senate, but then I realized no one was running for council. So I was like, well, if I run for council, then maybe I can get appointed to Senate and there can finally be some fine arts representation, because that is a very scarce and very rare thing. I've been here, this is going to be my third mandate, fourth semester in a row. I think excluding Caitlin, I've been here like the longest. So I've been in the CSU, you know, I've seen it, and now I am ready to go to Senate. I'm a theater student, so if the students, you know, are getting the short end of the stick, I will not be quiet about it. I will be loud. I will say no. I will say don't raise our tuition, for crying out loud. You know, I'm here to make change. I've been on the CSU for a while, and going in this year, I was like, why do I want to run again? Why am I just going back and back? And I'm like, the reason I'm going again this year is to affect change. And I think one of the best ways to affect change is to sit on Senate, and when everyone else is telling you to sit down, you don't sit down. You stand up and you say, listen, this is what the students want. This is the voice of the students. I am here. I've been waiting for this moment for so long. I'm so ready. This is it. I feel it. I feel it. I am ready. I'm a theater student, and I am ready to say, listen up. Listen up. The fine arts faculty is here, and they are not gonna quiet. Okay. I feel like I've rambled.
Great, thank you, Karen. Maha?
Thank you so much. First of all, I'm actually thrilled to see that there are this many people that are running for Senate. Senate is an incredible responsibility. This means that not only are we, but how do we hold an administration accountable? That's the thing. Oftentimes, these administrators, they need a reminder that they work for us. And I am someone that has zero qualms about reminding them that. Having somebody that's on your side that knows how to speak to administrators, so it's not necessarily about being the loudest, but it is about getting your agenda across. It is about getting them to turn the table as to what favors the students. And it is also imperative that we do have some minority representation there, that we do make sure that no student will be systematically discriminated against, that we do make sure that there are concrete policies in place that protect us. If we look at, for example, the syllabuses, if we look at the exam schedules and the deferrals as to like if ever there are emergencies that pop up, what is there to protect students in place? Why are there only options getting a deferral either in the next semester or in the next year when that class is then given? And that then afterwards offsets their graduation and all of these other consequences of fall reading week. These are all concrete issues that students have been facing for years. And if nothing has been done yet, then a change needs to come. It's not about it's not about electing somebody who has done this job before. It's not about electing somebody per faculty. This is about electing the person that you personally believe knows the policies inside and out, knows how to deal with the administration, will know how to speak to them, how to enforce and write enforceable policies. It's about voting for the person that you believe will do this job the best. And I trust that you guys will all make the proper call in this, and then we'll follow your judgment. So thank you.
Thank you. Naomi?
Okay, so I want to start off quickly by saying that I recognize that I am on 3 committees, but I want to ensure you all that for the past years I've been working full-time and going to school full-time, and last year I was also involved in TASU and Golden Keys. But, and I've always attended every meeting and I'm very committed, so don't let this 3rd committee change your mind, if ever. So I want to appoint myself for Senate because I recognize that it's the highest decision-making body of all matters academic. And I have done my best to review the university bylaws as well as the charter in order to familiarize myself with how Concordia functions as its roots. If I'm appointed for the position on Senate, I want to push for stronger student representation across the university. I'd like to see more just and fair regulations permitting all students the opportunity to sit on Senate. For example, no grade requirements or whatsoever. Which brings me to my other point, a project that I'd like to push for if I am on Senate, which is students voting directly on their syllabuses. Presently, how it works at Concordia, to the best of my knowledge, is that each department has their own curriculum committees. Once these committees have decided to review the courses and syllabuses, they send it to largest Senate Academic Planning Committee, which then goes to actual Senate. And in Senate, any classes and syllabus changes are usually motioned and passed and usually done in one motion, which means that senators don't get to explore and analyze properly and in depth. So with that being said, this is a project that I've seen at UCAM actually, where students directly vote on their syllabuses in classes with a 50% plus 1 majority. So that means, okay, I'm gonna stop reading. So that means that basically students can vote on their syllabuses in class. The profs gives them back their syllabuses. They have 2 weeks to vote on it. So if they don't agree, for example, my colleague James was saying that his schedule has been moved around. If students are not happy, if they're not happy with having a 70% exam or having worth a 30-hour work only worth 5%, students can directly vote on it, and I think that Senate is one of the best places to do that. Also considering that school, as we all know, anyways, okay, well, sorry, I'm just so stressed. I just want to say that it would be really beneficial if students could actually do this because we all know that school academic performance and stress influences students' mental health. Sorry.
Hi everyone. I'm an active person on campus. I was VP internal for Urban Planning Association. I worked in ASFA. I was Sustainability Ambassador last year, and I have pretty good connections with my department, with my students, with the students in my field, and with students from different majors. Because my major is Urban Studies and my minor is Geospatial Technologies, and I have a management elective group, so I'm pretty much taking courses in every place. I know what problems, what academic problems the students face, and I have plans to work on them. I know that some majors are not accredited in Concordia, and I want to work to make them accredited. I want to form some type of body that connects different departments, because I know there are some majors that require students to take different courses from different departments, and they face huge difficulties just registering for them and make them go with their schedule. And not only I'm focusing on the problems in my department, but I also have connections with students from different departments. I'm informed with their challenges, and I have been that they've been through, engineering students and business students, and offer more courses in the summer and facilitate capstone projects for engineering students. The funding for their capstone projects and all that. And I know Senate is the place to do these changes and to make great step towards.
Thank you. Okay, so everyone has motivated. Yes, Emma?
One question. Can a counselor motivate for other counselors?
Yeah, if we want to open the floor to that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to motivate for Elizabeth, Jared, and Maha. So first, Jared, I think it's a tragedy that there is such a little representation for fine art students in the CSU right now, and I think that electing him, makes sense to have someone from the fine arts student on the board to represent his faculty, and then have a power to negotiate for his faculty there. So for Elizabeth, I think she'd be a great candidate for the Senate seat. I think her experience working in the Congress could be very valuable. She did a marvelous job being a president of the African Student Association. A lot of people actually recognize her work and admire her work for, everything she did. She's a hardworking person, so as far as I know, I think she'd be a great candidate for that. Also, I think Maha would be great too, all along with Elizabeth and Jared, because I think these people just will not, bringing negotiation power, they will just have no qualms to represent the CSU and then negotiate for our interest on the Senate. So I think they're people of good character, and they're expressive enough to do what they're meant to do, what they're planning to do.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who'd like to motivate before we vote? Yes, Chris?
I just want to say it was really nice to see everyone who motivated. That's a lot of passion from literally everyone. So I'm confident in working with whoever gets this position.
All right, thank you. Okay, so with that, we can move to the tiny papers.
Does everyone have a paper already, I think?
I got you.
Okay, so remember we're voting for 2 representatives. So you can either vote for 2 or abstain, vote 1, abstain, up to you.
What?
Half the room spoke.
Well, Nick was voting for everyone, so.
Next one. Gerardo is doing the hardest job.
Guys, let's go. We have
Actually, that technically doesn't count for this meeting.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because it's not a regular meeting. There's actually no, there's no rules.
So I can just leave when I want to leave,
Except that rule. The attendance one is there. But the 11 o'clock is setting the time for regular meetings. But the attendance thing is specific in the standing regs. Fun fact.
What was that? Wait, another 30 seconds.
Honestly, we're making after motion was the best motion ever had.
Realistically, Jeff posted since 2014.
You will be on
You can only have 5,000 fans on Facebook.
That's a very necessary number.
All right, folks. So I'd like to congratulate Maha and Jared for their appointments to the Senate. So congratulations, folks. Is there anything further on Senate? Yes, Patrick?
I move to appoint me and Chris.
Oh, yes, good point. Yeah. Do you have a second? Jared, do you want to motivate?
It says in the standing regulations that we are ex officio, but I guess if I want to motivate for myself, I really want to do Fall Reading Week, and there's been a lot of work done this year by the current academic caucus, and I'm really happy with the work they've done, and it's been a bit of a battle, but that's what I really, that's one of my main focuses, but I'm also interested in collaborating with with Maha and Jared. It's going to be interesting, but yeah.
Okay, thank you. You want to?
Yeah, I'll motivate. All right, so Sophie and Michaela took Patrick and I to Senate, and when I got into that room, all I was thinking was, I am so excited, I can do this. So, ever since that day, this is something I really want to do. I feel very passionate about it. I believe we've got a good team starting to form, and yeah, we're gonna change things at Concordia. Things like tuition, things like sexual assault policy, and of course, things that I campaigned on, bathrooms. That has to happen.
Thank you. James?
Sorry.
Motion to appoint.
Oh, it's already on table.
Oh, sorry. Enter into voting procedures.
So there's no further comments. All right, so all of those, or first of all, is there any opposition? actually, to appointing Chris and Patrick. All right, so congratulations to your appointment to Senate. Yes, James?
So now I motion to nominate Chris, Salman, and Christian. I believe that was the names for signing officer?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so those three.
Yes?
One question, what are signing officers?
Oh, yeah, Chris, do you want to just explain the signing authority?
Yeah, all right. So at the CSU, we're actually a pretty big organization, $2.5 million annual budget. We got a $10 million investment fund. When you got such a large organization, you need to keep track of things. So we have a general manager, and basically every time I'll
It's
rely
just
on that
in case
after.
you
Yeah,
need anything.
thanks for that actually. But yeah, basically every time money needs to be given out, you need to make sure you have someone who's authorized to sign the checks. So that's usually we put the general coordinator because general coordinator, right? And then choose counselors. And the reason you do counselors is executives shouldn't be signing their own checks. So whoever gets this, you have the authority to sign my check or not to sign my check. So, yeah, well, it can be.
Probably just that you want
Yeah, and to read the formal things, as Caitlin's suggesting I do, you will have to sign all contracts. All contracts require a signature of 2 signing officers with the exception of honorariums under $500, which can be signed off by authorized approvers. All checks issued from a bank account or internal account requires a signature of 2 signing officers, and also a signing officer cannot sign a document which is in their name.
Yeah.
And whoever's signing officers, we have to meet next few days again, take a meeting at the bank so that it's all official, essentially next week.
Point of information?
Yeah.
So in general, how often do signing officers have to be like around the CSU?
Weekly, so it's a 1-hour commitment every week. 2 people have to sign every check. Usually Chris, if Chris is appointed, Chris will be one of the people signing a check, and then the other signing officer would come in once every week, every Thursday. So you hang out at the office, you sign a few checks. But it's very important that you show up because or else checks can't be sent out to the Concordia community, and then people won't be happy. So it's a 1-hour commitment, but very, very important. That's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so James, I guess your motivation, your motion.
I motion to omnibus.
Okay, just before we move that, sorry, did anyone else want to add their name? Okay, perfect. Just need a second. Second. Say, Nick. All right, so all those in favor of appointing Chris, Christian, and Salman, please raise your placards. 11. Any opposition? No, because there's only 11 people in the room. All right, so that carries unanimously.
Information.
Yes?
Do we also have to confirm BOG appointment?
That's at June. In June.
So we'll do it
Yeah.
then.
All right, signing officers. So if there's nothing further on signing officers, the CCSL, and I guess Eduardo, this one's yours.
Yeah, so the CCSL is a non-CSU related body. It is part of Concordia. Dean of Students takes care of it. Again, much like the Student Life Committee, it gives out money to people who really need it and that have excellent projects. It's approximately once a month, twice in October and twice in March, where you basically meet up with, I would like to think, like one person from every area of the school. So you have sports, you have all the deans show up, and we basically decide where to spend money. It's a really fun committee, honestly, and they serve some of the best food. Yeah. Yeah, and more importantly, you get to spend time with me.
Live your student life.
It's a parent committee, so they're seeing student and yeah, fine.
Oh,
Yeah.
You're a parody.
No.
I'm like, what do you mean it's not a joke?
No,
It's a parody.
it's a parity committee. It means that there's as many students as there are administration as well.
Parody.
Parity.
I heard parody.
All right, James.
So yeah, I nominate myself and Amadou.
Okay. How many seats are there again?
2.
2 seats. Okay. Okay. Do we have a second? All right, and you consent?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anyone else? Okay.
Motion to omnibus.
Okay. Do we have a second? Aman. Is there any opposition to appointing James and Amma to the committee, the CCSL committee? All right, perfect. So that is unanimous.
Me, I guess.
Yeah. I think so. I don't think you're at Sufisio. Yeah. Sorry. We also
Have to appoint myself
Yeah.
in student life.
Right. James. Okay. Seconded by Aman. Is there any opposition? Okay. Perfect. So you are the executive on the CCSL.
Congrats.
Okay. So with that, we are at the LSFC, the Library Services Fund Committee, and
Well, let's put me and Elise.
will be. Who wants to talk about it?
Yeah, so I'll just motivate, I guess. So I'm running for Library Service Committee, particularly because I believe that there needs to be an equal distribution of the books between both campuses, because a lot of Loyola students still study at this library, especially for our finals, in which none of our finals are downtown. If we have open books, if we want to take our books, we have to pay $8 to take a final, and that kind of sucks. So I just want there to be books.
All right. Is there anyone else who'd like to put their name for library services? Okay. No, we just need a motion to appoint. Motion to appoint Melis? Yes. James?
Motion to appoint Melis.
Seconded by Victoria.
There's actually 2 of us that are supposed to go on that committee.
Oh, but nobody else raised their hand. Like,
No, I mean, like, what, sorry?
2 counselors?
No, it's supposed, remember, like, send the email that 2 executives have to go on the committee?
Yeah.
But it's Elise and myself.
oh, okay. Do you want to?
So you're not.
I'll second Eduardo.
Okay. Do you want to be the other executive?
We already decided this amongst ourselves.
All right. Okay. So the motion on the table is to have Melis and Eduardo sit on the LSFC. James, we'll just pretend you said that. And seconded by Victoria. Is there any opposition? Perfect. So congratulations, you are on the Library Service Fund Committee. All right, and the CSU Community Action Fund. Does anyone want to speak to it, or Isaiah?
Yeah. So CAF, short for Community Action Fund, is another granting body. It comprises of counselors, myself, I don't share this one actually, a community representative, a fee levy organization representative, I'm not sure, and we just take applications to give out money to different initiatives in the community, whether Concordia or Greater Montreal.
Thank you. So nominations to sit on the Community Action Fund. Did Elizabeth want to?
I mean, there's, yeah, actually, she has a motivation. Funding bodies such as CAF are invaluable to the livelihood of students. I would love the opportunity to sit on CAF because it would give me the chance to provide opportunities for those that need funding for initiatives that would benefit Concordia students.
Is there anyone else? Jared, I saw your name on the...
How many positions are you?
1. Oh, there's... I see. 1...
Can you both make social?
So, in general, how many positions are there?
CAF is an external body? Yeah, so it's 1, right? Yeah.
Then I rescind my nomination.
Okay. All right. Is there anyone else who'd like to put their name forward? Okay, so we just need a motion to approve Elizabeth. James? Okay, seconded by Elias. Is there any opposition to appointing Elizabeth? Okay, perfect. So that is unanimous. Anything else on CAF? Okay, so with that, we are at, wow, folks, we're done the appointments.
But it's still the same day, are you sure?
Well, last time a certain chair bled out.
Yes, that's true. Last time I had to leave halfway through. Funny story, I got stitches. I'll save this for after the meeting.
But there's an agenda.
Council.
Is this the first time we finish appointments on the same day?
Maybe? I'd have to go back in my brain for a while, but usually it does take a long time, a very long time. Council retreat and, oh yes, Aman?
Where's the setup one?
Oh, I think usually we appoint that in June, because it's not on the council-elect agenda. Yeah, because there's a set agenda in the standing regs.
How about the Board of Governors?
Also June. Yeah, so Bog, Silk, and there's one more that comes back in June. You sometimes Senate, but whatever.
Point of question
Mm-hmm.
to Isaiah. Actually, the BIPOC, you're saying that it's by, when are you guys doing the appointments?
Like, well, granted, Keep in mind our mandate hasn't started until the 1st, so we're gonna have to be appointed, like, we still have to be passed the torch by Akira, and then we'll put out, as soon as we create, because we have to create job descriptions and like for the positions and the different things, as soon as we have that finalized, we'll put it out, because we're not giving out money until September. So we have basically all summer to recruit, but we're gonna try to get it out in June. That's right.
Also, it says 2 counselors, but there can be more if people really want to be on. Because I see 2 names, but like if you're interested, you can still be in BIPOC, even if there's already 2 counselors.
For information, BIPOC stands for Black, Indigenous, People of Color. So if you meet any of those 5 requirements, then like, bring it in.
Thank you.
Technically, the of, I don't think that's a requirement.
I was just thinking that. All right, so council retreat and training. This is Chris, Mary?
Hi guys. So I think we kind of came to a date-ish, sort of, thanks to Victoria, Queen of Planet, was it?
You get that title right, girl.
So just an FYI, I'm the Queen Executive. You can be the Queen Counselor. Sorry, I had to. So we just need to select a date. So if we approve the 2nd or 1st weekend of September, I don't know if we're...
I think the 2nd weekend, only because the 1st is generally a Labor Day weekend.
Okay. So
that was my assumption on that one. The 1st weekend of September is always Labor Day weekend. The 2nd weekend is normally like a regular weekend.
Can we have a date? By 2nd weekend, do you mean like, 1st weekend, do you mean September 1st, or do you mean like September 1 week after?
14th.
Okay.
Hold on, let me just pull
Yeah, so September 4th falls on a Wednesday this year, so if anybody has these school scheduled, they'll know if when we'll be closed, but I'm assuming we'll be having our long weekend that weekend of the 6th and whatnot, so it would have to probably be the weekend of the 13th, 14th, 15th.
So, yeah, does anyone, I guess, well, I move to have council retreat on the 14th, 15th, and 13th to the 15th.
All right, do we have a second? Of September.
Of September, sorry.
That's the 2nd weekend. Yeah.
What?
That's 2 weekends after Labor Day.
Labor Day is this?
It's actually the 2nd this year,
Labor Day is
only
the 2nd.
but
So, and classes start on the 3rd, I
Yeah.
think. So, it would be then the 2nd week of classes, basically. After the 2nd week of classes. Is that right?
I was gonna say.
Just to clarify, is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you good with the date, like that's the date you meant?
Yeah.
Okay.
13th, 14th, 15th. You have
Okay,
opposition?
so we just need a second for the motion? Second, and Maren, do you want to motivate?
A lot of people are out of the country. A lot of people are going to go out of the country. I'm trying to see availabilities, and it looks like everyone's back in September because school started. I think some people are just coming back to like Montreal on the 1st of September, so at least it gives us a week. And I think we have our council meeting the week after we come back, so we have a whole week of quiet and then council meeting. So I think it's just a reasonable date.
Thank you. Emma?
Could you explain what's gonna actually happen in the retreat and the training?
Yeah, so it's not planned yet, obviously. We're gonna go outside in the woods in an abandoned building. No, I'm thinking it depends on how council feels, but there are some options on the table. There's either going to a campground where we can just have like mini like camp chalet kind of things. And then there's the other option of Airbnb, which some people are opposed to. So I have to get permission for that. Absolutely. And then we basically do like bonding, we do communication training workshops and how to learn each other's communication styles and how to best communicate with each other. We do a little rundown about like how we can create like proceedings more efficiently. like just, I haven't developed the full workshop yet, but it just training on how to work efficiently better, and we bond to create like more smooth entrance to the year.
Thank you. Lee?
So what happens if we're not able to make that? Because I have a specifically scheduled different retreat for work that same weekend for the same days. So how does that work?
You can amend the date.
Yeah, I guess my impression from polling was that it was going to be the first weekend of September. So I was thinking 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Do we want to amend that?
Yeah.
Is everyone okay with, can it be considered friendly, 6th,
Yeah,
7th, and 8th?
I don't care.
Okay,
Can I just ask a question on that?
Yeah.
I would not be able.
Eduardo, how will this
Yeah, that's.
correlate with orientation? When is orientation?
That is the week of that. So yeah, so most likely if it is that day. I won't be able to attend, but granted this is a council retreat and not an executive retreat, so focus on yourselves first on this, not on...
I get the impression as well that we might not, as a council, be ready to set a date. Like, how important is it that we do this now and not in June? Or that, like, does it need to be set tonight,
I
Victoria?
just want to say something on that, is that if we set it tonight, at least that way coming in the summer, everybody, like, we've said it like a million times, like the summer's gonna be crazy, nobody's gonna know what anything is happening, what's gonna be gone. So at least if we book it now, we have it already done. As we already see, she's already booked for September, so like that's kind of a red flag. If the first week isn't working, you also said you have it's every second Wednesday, our meetings for council, so I would assume that week it would be the 11th anyways, so we might as well.
Section of September.
Yeah, September's
The 3rd? So then
Yeah.
that would almost even be better. Why don't we just do it the weekend of the 20th, 21st, 22nd? Because our meeting would fall on the 17th anyway, so it would be right after our meeting.
Right before our meeting.
Pardon?
Why not the 7th and 8th?
The 7th, well, because it's
We have
orientation.
It's orientation week, and
And we'd
most
hope
of
you'd
the
come to our
people will be
event.
busy with different.
And and we're all super like involved students. That means
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to be doing something with GASA. Someone else will be doing something with FIS, you know, all the different associations. So it'll probably be better, quieter time. And,
20th, yeah, definitely.
everybody will be able to make it at least, and nobody has an excuse because it's 2 months in advance. Well, 3. So.
So the current motion on the table is still 13 to 15?
No, 20, 21st, 22nd.
Okay, is everyone amenable to that amendment? Okay, so 21st to 22nd, 20th to 22nd.
Of September?
Yes, yeah. James?
I really hope we actually get to do a retreat this year. Last year everybody exploded because we weren't able to do a retreat. That's my working theory anyway.
Yeah.
Please actually do the retreat. I really want to do stuff like go canoeing and like have a lake house or something.
Wait, budget.
Putting your money
on the table.
VR.
Alright, well, I love the idea of a retreat as like a great get to know each other exercise and a team bonding one. And I strongly believe, especially since we are all very important, like involved students, and after having to go through a year together, we should also do an end of the year spa retreat. Because we will definitely need to de-stress.
I second that motion.
Budget.
Patrick? Okay, let's keep it moving, keep it moving. I can put you on speaker.
I do highly suggest that like we do come up with a date tonight, because the longer that we just push it back, the CSU has this culture of pushing things back and it just never happens. So like, I highly suggest you do this, but up to council. So.
Thank you. Jared?
Yeah, I also wanted to mention, as the elder here, when I first came to council, like a couple of years back, they had a winter retreat, and it was just a really good way for me, as a new councillor who didn't really know what things were like, didn't really know anyone, to kind of get to know people, get to understand the environment, and feel comfortable. And there's a lot of new faces here, and also some people who've been here before and who kind of know a bit about the CSU. And having this weekend to really bond, to really get to know each other, not only does it build trust, it also builds trust in yourself, that you go into the CSU knowing, yeah, no, I can do this. You know, I'm going into council, and you know, that retreat really helped me in the next few years to trust in myself, like, yeah, no, I can make this motion, I can call the question, I know what I'm doing. And so I really think that, it's really valuable as a new counselor, because this is like a place where it isn't, the pressure of a real council meeting. It's just nice, we're all together, we're all friends, and then when a real council meeting comes in, you can be like, you know what, I trust myself, and I know what I'm doing, because I got elected, and I've gone through the retreat, because you all got elected, and you all deserve to be here. You all should pat yourselves on the back, because you did it, you're here. So this is just a great way to really reestablish that and establish that trust, and I think that's something that's really nice having.
Thank you. Eric.
Yeah, just to note, this is mandatory.
Yeah, that too.
So y'all need to come. And if there's any reason, if you have concerns like safety or I don't know, I'll be happy to discuss them with you to make sure that we make the right arrangements for everyone to be able to come to this retreat, because it is technically mandatory. So yeah, feel free to talk to me. One more thing. After this, we discuss campground or Airbnb.
Right, Victoria?
Can we call the question?
Yeah, we should vote. We should talk about that after. Yeah. Just Chris was last on the speakers list, or did you want to say something? Okay.
Quick thing on the importance of retreat. I went to the ASPA retreat last year, and it was a great experience. It really, I don't know. There's nothing we're not going to get an opportunity to be friends outside of this room. We might not get the opportunity to be friends outside this room if we don't make the time, and this is making the time, and if it doesn't happen in September, it will never happen. So I am very in favor of what my elder, Jared, had to say.
Thank you very much. Okay, so with that, there's no one else, or James? All right, order please, folks.
Who seconded?
Call the question.
It was a long time ago.
Who seconded?
Yeah. Makes sense. Okay, yeah, there's no one else on the speakers list. So all those in favor of the retreat being held on between the 20th and 22nd of September, please raise your placards. 11, all those opposed? 0. And abstentions? 0. 1. Okay, that carries. And then Marin, you wanted to discuss other things on this point?
Yes. So I'm not 100% sure if we're supposed to discuss budget or it's predetermined. What I believe is on the list was Desiree's 3,800.
Yeah, usually this doesn't happen at the council election
budget
meeting.
like that will happen next council.
Okay.
Anything related to budget, anything related to anything more specific, I think is the next.
Yeah.
Okay,
next
cool.
meeting.
Usually it's just setting the date, and then the logistics get set up either by the executive, or if you have anything to bring to council that's specific, you can bring it back. But
So I don't have to discuss the Airbnb thing, I guess.
no, council doesn't have the position on it was struck down last year. It wasn't voted in, so it's.
Okay, so I think that's it. More to come in June.
Stay tuned for June.
Oh, is it? So, no, there's a couple other things. CSU email address, or is everyone good for council retreat and training? Is there anything else to discuss? Okay. Email addresses and council communications.
All right. Yeah. So last year we were told we'd get emails. We never did. This year we want to get everybody in this room an email with your own name with the at csu.qc.ca domain. So when you do CSU work, you got your own email. Also, we decided to go with Facebook for the council group. Does anybody have any opposition to that? We think it's a pretty effective place to communicate when you're doing a casual, once a month kind of thing. If you're doing intense stuff like we are, Slack is better, but, council. It's not a 40-hour-a-week gig, that's what I'm saying. You're still our boss. Anyway. Yeah, did anybody have any opinions on that? Like what's going on, not like what's going on?
James?
Yay for the email. Everybody good? No complaints from here.
All right. Jared?
I actually didn't think councils were allowed emails because I've been here for so long and just never got one.
Standing regs that you're supposed to get one.
Yeah, actually for institutional memory, about 3 years ago, so back in the day, everyone everyone would get an email and you would only communicate with that email, but then the thing is that people would get this email and then they'd never check it. So then council kind of went back to the regular email, like your personal email, and now it's kind of swaying back the other way. So it's funny to see how things go over time. Yeah, anything else on email addresses and council communications? Okay, if not, question period. Yes, Isaiah?
It's not really a question, but I didn't know who to send the document to for this meeting. But now I know the chair is there. But I'm going to probably post in the group and meet with my committee until June 8th. I want to get everyone's idea or consensus to submit an idea for the annual campaign so the external committee can bring it to June and we can get started. So if you could pay attention to the Facebook group and submit something before June 8th, I'll post in the group. That'd be great. External committee, looking forward to working with you.
All right, thank you. Is there anything else on questions? Folks, there's still 2 more agenda points. Just keep patience for a couple minutes. Anything more questions? What about announcements? Yes, Jared?
I just wanted to make this announcement just because I've seen this literally every year and I'm not calling anyone out. It's literally just something for you to know moving forward. When we're in closed session, if you're going to leave, just say, hey, I'm leaving. And let's just say you left to get water, use the restroom, whatever, and you're coming back while we're in closed session, just knock on the door or something. Just because I mean, right now, today, the closed session, I don't think any of the other candidates heard anything that was going on, but maybe we'll be discussing something that's a lot more private, a lot more hush-hush, can't let anyone outside know. So this is just a good way so that, we aren't going to be in the middle of saying something super confidential, and then you open the door and the link here's, and so that's why I think, it's just a good way, and I get it, it's our first time, but I just want, moving forward, this is a practice that I've seen how it can work, and I've also seen how it can very much not work when people don't do it, and people get annoyed and roll their eyes and be like, knock on the door. So I just want to first council meeting, if we can just, start getting into this idea while the closed session stuff isn't, dreadfully important. Not that what we did wasn't important, but just, it wasn't super confidential, horrible legal things will happen if the door was opened and other people heard kind of thing.
Thank you. James?
Yeah, so a motion to adjourn.
I know Maren had to say something first.
So there's a conference called COCA, which stands for Canadian Organization of Campus Activities. Their conference is being held on the 16th of June to the 20th of June. So this is kind of timely. I've gone before. I've gone the year before last year when I was president of my student union at Vanier. I want to go again, and I propose some of the executives should also go. I was told from the previous executive that going to conferences, you'd have to tell your committee, but then some people are being I have to tell council, so I just want to be as transparent as possible so that if you have any concerns, you can bring them up. This is what the schedule looks like. It's pretty condensed. It goes from education, this is a flyer, so here's an example of some of the education sessions that have, programming, this is where I learned how to negotiate contracts and sign them properly, how to make contacts, and how to make sure you're not being taken advantage of as the student who manages lots of funds, and people think you're naive and you're just a student, I can steal your money from you. It teaches you how to do leadership, how to negotiate contracts, how to manage clubs, workshops. It's basically everything you could ever learn about managing a student union and how to do it properly. And student unions from all over Canada go. And this is just they also have artists in the evenings where they showcase their work, where you can choose to hire them. At the end, they'll give you your card. They'll showcase their work. They'll give you your card. They'll give you quotes. You'll hear from all the other executives of student unions around Canada on how they coordinate, how they manage. This is the budget breakdown. Because it's a hotel, it's really expensive. So it comes up to a total of $2,800 for 2 executives, and per additional executive, it would be $25 per the room, plus the $495 conference fee, and that's pretty much it. So does anyone have any opposition or concerns? of if I go to this conference. And yes, obviously I'm going to a conference, it costs money, so I will compile all the information and bring it back in a COCA manual that I hope to transport to you through.
Building is closing at 11.
All right, thank you.
That I hope to like funnel back into some sort of workshop for counselors and even potentially clubs and students. As the internal coordinator, I can relay information to clubs pretty well, I think. So, any opposition? Any questions?
And also, you said students can come and see, or counselors can see you in your office hours
Yes,
and all that.
counselor, we start June 1st. My office is open. I'm gonna get like little candies for my desk, so you're gonna wanna come see me.
Thank you. James?
Motion to adjourn.
All right, seconded by Jared. All right, perfect.